I've dealt with cartel shootouts, city hall corruption, and more bomb threats than I can count, but none of that prepared me for a Saturday afternoon at a gas station 2 blocks from home, wearing camo shorts and a white t-shirt, just trying to enjoy a quiet moment off duty. No radio, no badge, no authority, just a man. And yet somehow, of all the dangers I've faced, the one that got the closest to blowing everything up was a teenage boy with designer sneakers and a gas nozzle in his hand, who thought I was his personal attendant. The day started like any other weekend in Briar Glen, a sleepy, affluent neighborhood that looked like a real estate ad come to life. I moved there a year ago thinking I could separate myself from the chaos of the city, be a neighbor, a barbecue guy, not the chief of police for one of the largest cities in the country. For a while, it worked. Folks waved. A couple brought over peach cobbler. Kids rode their bikes in cul-de-sacs like a Norman Rockwell painting. But then she moved in. Nadine Kirkland. Early 50s. Pearls for errands. Permanent scowl. The kind of woman who believes HOA guidelines were handed down on stone tablets. First thing she said to me was, "Oh, are you renting?" Like the very idea that a black man could own a house next to hers required clarification. I laughed, said nope. Paid cash. And from that moment on, it was war, but quiet war. She never raised her voice. Just a steady drip of complaints. Trash cans too close to her hedges. Smoke from my grill. Lawn gnome too colorful. I've led hostage negotiations more pleasant than our brief conversations over the fence. But her son Graham was a different beast altogether. 18, tall, lanky, and full of that swagger only the entitled can afford. I'd catch him watching me from behind his blinds, arms crossed, sneer identical to his mother's. He and his buddies would roar down the street in souped-up cars, music shaking windows, daring someone to say something. I didn't. Not because I was afraid, Lord knows I've faced worse, but because peace is worth more than pride when you're trying to make a home. And then came that Saturday. It was hot enough to boil asphalt. I had just filled my tank and was about to head inside to grab a bottle of water when I heard the screech of tires and the thunder of bass. Graham's ridiculous electric blue car slid into the spot beside mine like it was auditioning for a music video. He got out, followed by 3 clones, same bleached hair, same $200 gym shorts, same smug laughter that dares you to challenge them. I didn't look. I was halfway to the door when I heard it. "Hey, you." I ignored it. Thought maybe they were talking to each other. "Yeah, you. Hands are clean, man. Come on, do your job. Fill up the tank." Chop chop. I stopped. Slowly turned. He was holding the gas nozzle like a scepter. Behind him, his friends were already snickering, one of them with a phone out, recording. I could practically hear their thought process. Let's humiliate the guy in camo shorts. Get some likes. But I wasn't some guy. I was a patient man, but not a passive one. "Sorry," I said, calm as ever. "I think you've mistaken me for someone who works for you." Graham's face flushed with anger. "Don't get smart with me. I told you to pump the gas." Not exactly a hard concept. His tone was condescending, calculated, designed to provoke. And when I didn't flinch, he stepped closer and jabbed a finger at my chest. That was it. That was the line. He didn't know it, but he'd just crossed into felony territory. I took a step back and squared my shoulders the way I do when I'm about to de-escalate a riot. "That was a mistake," I said quietly. He laughed. "Oh yeah? What are you going to do? Call the cops?" Still staring him down, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I've known by heart since I took the job. "Dispatch," a voice answered. "This is Unit 1, I said. There was a pause. Then, "Go ahead, Unit 1. I gave them the location and a rundown. Off-duty officer, racially motivated harassment, physical contact. Send 1 patrol car. No lights. Non-emergency. The smirks on those kids' faces evaporated like puddles in the sun. A minute later, a black and white cruiser glided into the lot. Officer Mendoza stepped out, solid guy, 10 years in. He saw me, straightened immediately. "Chief," he said with a nod. Graham looked like he'd seen a ghost. His friends took a step back, as if putting space between them and the crime scene would erase their part in it. Mendoza addressed them with perfect calm. "What seems to be the problem here?" The kid with the phone stammered, "Nothing, officer. We were just leaving." "Stay put," Mendoza said. Graham's voice cracked. Two didn't know who he was. "That's the problem," I finally said. "Your behavior shouldn't change based on who you think someone is. Of course, The next call Graham made wasn't to his lawyer, it was to his mother. And 5 minutes later, Nadine came tearing into the lot like a suburban banshee in a pearl-white Escalade. She stomped over, finger out, voice shrill. "You," she screeched. "What did you do to my son?" She turned on Mendoza. "Why aren't you arresting him? My son is terrified." "Ma'am," Mendoza began. "Don't you ma'am me. I'm a taxpayer. I know my rights. I want your badge number. I'm calling the police." I stepped forward. Calm. Controlled. "Ma'am," I said, cutting through the noise. "I am the police. In fact, I'm the chief. And your son just committed a hate crime." The silence that followed was deafening. Her face went slack, then pale. She opened her mouth and closed it. For once, Nadine Kirkland had no comeback. I chose not to arrest Graham right there. Not because he didn't deserve it, but because I knew how it would be spun. Instead, I filed a full report and let the system do its work. Or so I thought. By Monday, it wasn't just whispers. It was headlines. Chief of police accused of intimidating local teen. Abuse of power or justified response. They used every coded word in the book. Aggressive, intimidating, imposing. Funny how those words only get pulled out when you look like me. My deputy, a man who'd been gunning for my job since day one, started fanning the flames behind the scenes, leaking quotes, questioning my conduct, smiling like he didn't just shove a knife between my ribs. Internal Affairs opened a file. The media circus got worse. The mother cried on camera, holding up her son's school photo like he was a saint. They never mentioned the slurs, the shove, or the video. Except there was a video. Turns out one of the boys kept a copy hidden in the cloud, scared of the others. His mother reached out. Said her son couldn't sleep. He came forward. Told the truth. We subpoenaed the footage. And when I watched that shaky phone clip, with the kid's voice loud and proud, "You look like you do dirty worko, pump my gas," followed by me calmly calling dispatch, and his shove caught frame by frame, it felt like justice. Not just for me, but for every person who's been misjudged by the way they look. The case closed that same day. The boy was charged with harassment, assault, and hate crime. The mother ostracized, reputation in tatters. The deputy chief? Reassigned to inventory at the impound-loaded job where the only thing he gets to manage are abandoned cars. But the victory felt hollow. I got my name back, but I lost the illusion that I could ever be just a neighbor. That no matter how high you rise, some people only see what they want to see. I stood on my porch a week later, watching Nadine pull her mailbox key with robotic motion. No apology, just resentment. A month later, her house went up for sale. I used to think peace was about distance from danger, from drama, from prejudice. But now I know peace comes from standing your ground, even when the world tries to twist the truth. And I'd do it all over again. Because silence never changed anything. Because sometimes, being right doesn't feel like winning. Even after the video cleared my name. Even after the boy's half-muttered apology in front of a half-empty courtroom. Even after the deputy quietly boxed up his office and disappeared into a corner of the department no one visits unless they're towing something, it didn't feel like justice had won. Only that the storm had passed. For now, I still live on that quiet street. Same porch, same camo shorts, same worn-out grill. But it's different now. The laughter of neighborhood kids seems more cautious around my driveway. The other neighbors, the ones who once offered banana bread in cheerful waves, now give polite nods that linger just a second too long, like they're trying to figure out what side they were supposed to be on. The house next door? Empty. For sale sign faded in the sun, weeks now. And you'd think that would bring closure, but it doesn't. It just reminds me that for people like Nadine and her son, accountability is temporary, but the damage they do leaves a longer shadow. You see, I had tried to separate my roles: chief at work, just a man at home. But I was wrong. For someone who looks like me, who is me, there's no true off-duty. The uniform doesn't come off when the badge does. Sometimes the thing people fear or hate isn't what I do for a living. It's just the fact that I'm living, thriving, existing in a space they thought was only theirs. And I think that's the part that hurts most. Not the media circus. Not the betrayal from inside my department. Not even the shove or the slur or the phone camera pointed like a weapon. What hurts is knowing that I still believed for just a little while that I could find sanctuary, that I could have the luxury of being just another guy grilling steaks on a Saturday. Turns out, the world isn't ready to let some of us be just anything. But you know what? That doesn't mean I stop. Doesn't mean I retreat. If anything, it means I show up more. I show up for the ones who can't. For the neighbors who are watching quietly, wondering if it's safe to stand up. For the kids in the high school who saw what happened and started asking harder questions at home. For the next rookie officer of color walking into roll call thinking he has to be perfect or be replaced. For the truth, however inconvenient, uncomfortable, or messy it might be, I stand, not in spite of all that happened, but because of it. And if that means I never get to fully take the uniform off, so be it. I'll wear it with my head high. Because the next time some spoiled kid tries to flex his status and shame someone into silence, he might remember what happened at that gas station. And maybe, just maybe, he'll think twice. Now I want to hear from you. What do you make of this whole situation? Have you ever been misjudged by how you look by a neighbor, a stranger, maybe even someone at work? Do you think people like Graham and Nadine ever truly learn? Or do they just find softer targets next time? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's open up this conversation, because the only thing stronger than silence is community. And if you've got a story of your own, something that made you stand taller, speak louder, or take back your power, share it. You never know who might need to hear it. Thanks for listening. And don't forget, truth has a way of holding on even when the world wants to let it go.